Hello everyone. I return to you once more with an offering from our friends at Islamic Pulse. In this piece, a small group of unnamed students are coming to the defense of one Sheikh Hamza Yusuf. Sheikh Hamza was previously Mark Hansen, born January 1st, 1960, in the American Pacific Northwest, and was then raised in California. Though he grew up being taught Greek Orthodox Christianity, he converted to Islam in the late 1970s after an unspecified near-death experience and a reading of the Quran. Since then, he has become one of the faith's most prominent advocates in the West, even being one of the first, if not the first, depending on which source you read, representatives of the faith to visit with President George W. Bush immediately after the September 11th attacks. So, short version, not exactly a low-profile figure. Now, while the video itself concerns accusations against Hamza, which I will cover shortly, the thing that caused me to outright laugh in the face of this video, and to honestly wonder if this was not a Poe in disguise, is the apologia and the way it is presented by these students. So let us begin.
A draconian media witch hunt has erupted.
Various outlets and spokespersons of the mainstream have begun bashing Sheikh Hamza,
calling him an Islamic hate preacher who calls for the beheading of homosexuals.
Did he? Did he really call for the beheading of homosexuals? Because that would be a horrible thing to do and advocate for, wouldn't it?
What some malicious media pundits out there did is cut out an excerpt of an academic talk where he explains the Islamic ruling concerning those who commit homosexual acts in public.
Committing homosexual acts in public. Okay. Are you going to show us this video clip so we can judge for ourselves the veracity of these claims? Didn't think so. So for everyone else's edification, here it is.
If there's homosexual men, the punishment is one of 5 things. One, the easiest one maybe, chop their head off. That's the easiest. Second, burn them to death. Third, throw them off a cliff. Fourth, tear down a wall on them so they die under that. Fifth, a combination of the above. We have a hadith on that. Now, whether somebody is going to accept that, that's up to the jurists to read and understand. There's definitely some of those apply. Now, maybe the combination. But this is something that's there.
Okay, I will stipulate to the fact that this is a segment taken out of context. We do not know what was said before or what was said afterwards from this. He seems to be reporting these things in the context of those punishments available to the jurists in an Islamic court. So he may have indeed just been relaying the facts of what is written in Islamic law for the sake of education. And in a subsequent interview to the outbreak of this scandal, this is what he had to say. Did you call for homosexuals to be beheaded and burned? Answer. This couldn't be further from the truth. I even mentioned in the lecture that there could be a misunderstanding like this. I was simply explaining the Islamic Penal Code, and if someone disagrees with this code, that is their issue. The important thing to say is that it sounds like I'm telling people to go out on the street and find homosexuals somewhere and light them up and chop off their heads. But I am not preaching that. I am also saying that it is actually haram to do that. Even in an Islamic country, you have no right to do that. So he was not telling people to go out into the streets and kill homosexuals. So everything's fine and dandy, right? Nothing to see here. But you know what I did see? Him laughing about it, and affirming that some of these punishments do apply to the situation. And do you know what I did not see? Any hesitation, disgust, or condemnation of the punishments as he was listing them off. So while our students might be correct in criticizing the media's accuracy in reporting, the substance of what is being said, that a violent death is a just punishment for homosexuality by Islamic law, remains standing.
The punishments that Sheikh Hamza mentions are not only true, but also a part of the noble religion of Islam as well as other major world religions.
See, guys, the other religions advocate for it too, so it's not just us. And because so many other people think it, then it's okay for us to think it too. That absolves us from any guilt, or any barbarism, or any kind of responsibility for what we teach and the effects that might have on the young minds that absorb this kind of thing. Yeah, we're completely clear on this one, aren't we?
This is the truth. In a government where Islam is the rule of law, the punishment for homosexual acts in public is death.
There it was again. Did you see that? In asterisks this time. In public. They mentioned that before, that these punishments only apply to homosexual acts committed in public. Now, I had never heard that caveat before this video, so is that correct? I wonder if there's an Islamic scholar we might consult on this one. If this is so, if someone is only brought to an Islamic court for acting out in public, maybe... Oh, how about Sheikh Hamza? Just a paragraph later in that same interview. The penal code does not apply outside of an Islamic country, and inside of an Islamic country, if people come to know that a male has been involved physically with another male, then they have to report that to the authorities and they have to look into it. And if it is established by the authorities, then they can carry out the punishment. But an individual has no right to carry it out himself, and if they do, that's a sin. Now, I just find that an interesting contradiction because it seems like such an odd exception or condition they keep mentioning, as though it somehow made it okay that so long as you keep your sexual orientation a secret, there's no threat to you. That so long as you hide and lie and conceal yourself from the rest of the world, that you'll be safe. Whereas our sheikh details that someone just has to tell on you. Someone just has to accuse you. And then they have to look into it. And then your life is turned upside down for possibly just being what you are. Yes, I am sure that that caveat, even if it were true, will in no way still make the life of a homosexual seem less valid to a student of Islam. That they will continue to be seen as equals on the scales of humanity. I am so very assured.
What these fools in the Muawiyah media machine refuse to mention, of course, is that these punishments can only be administered within an Islamic government.
Yes, violent acts against homosexuals fueled by Islamic doctrine never occur outside of Islamic countries. It just doesn't happen. You never see it happen. It never happens. Ever.
You imbeciles.
If you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating those who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing.
Do you have any self-awareness whatsoever? You just got done telling us how homosexuals have nothing to worry about in Islamic law unless they're caught doing something in public. Therefore, if they do exist in your society, they have to remain secret. They have to remain hidden or risk their lives due to your laws. They are the ones who are oppressed in your society. So let me fix that little quote graphic you put up just a second ago, so maybe you'll understand what I'm trying to say. Our students then spend the next several minutes arguing that because Sheikh Hamza and other scholars actively argue against ISIS, that this somehow indemnifies them from criticism over their advocating and affirming Islamic laws that would see people dead for being what they are. And they again retreat into the, look, other religions say this too, argument. A link to the original video is below if you are inclined to take in the full measure of their prevarications and apologia, but I have otherwise made all the points I care to. Thanks for watching.